Hello, everybody. This is Avery Mojica. I'm going to be doing rounds 15 and 16 of the Crescent City Cup in New Orleans. Jackson Smylie and Rafi Stern. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. I don't have a co-commentator for this round, and I might not for next round, so it might be just me. If you're not a big fan of me, I'm sorry about that, but you're going to have to put up with me for a little bit, I guess. But we got two good players here. I've played them both many times. I'm a big fan of both of them. We should be looking forward to a good game here. Looks like Jackson's going first. Onslaught at ease here. So it looks like he's got some vowel-heavy problems to deal with to start. And Rafi's got a little bit better, but not too much else. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like Toia or just exchanging. Probably like AET or ET. ET. I think that's probably right. It's not the most obvious thing for me because I always tend to think AET is a little better, but Jackson correctly figures out that ET is slightly better in the long run. Cat 2 has pointed out Oak for Rafi. Seems like a pretty solid play, leaving well. See that coming down very fast. Jackson's got a interesting rack, not a big go in there, but yeah, as Alec points out, if only OK was good, it'll be good in, what is it, about a little more than a month. TWL is adding about 300 new 2 to 8 letter words, and I think Collins will be adding them in May. Zev Kaufman asks who's commentating. As you can see, my name appears twice on the screen. This is Avery Mojica. I'm a NASPA player rated 2045 right now. Definitely a little overrated in my opinion, but that's beside the point. I don't have a co-commentator for this round, so it'll just be me for a little bit. Alec points out that Rafi just drew spoilage. Not really sure what Jackson does here. His rack is not great. Might be looking to play something with Toke. Try to develop different parts of the board. I know Jackson's a big fan of trying to restrict access to the top left of the board. He thinks in terms of quadrants a lot, so he may be thinking about something like Alex suggests Outbeg in Toke. And that's what he has lined up. It's really not a whole lot of options. Outbeg, of course, will give back spoilage in a different spot. Jackson's probably also thinking about things that Rafi might have because Rafi's range is pretty strong after Oak. He's probably keeping pretty well. Probably reasonably close to a bingo. I have Quackle hold up to help me commentate. So Quackle will be my co-commentator this time. Looks like Jackson's opted for a very interesting play of Togue. Not entirely sure I understand that, but I definitely don't mind it. BEL can, but I mean it wasn't really an easy play, so it's not like I have much better to offer there. Everything seems kind of subpar. Yeah, Jackson's a big fan of Kenji, who you just saw on the stream a little before me, and they talk a lot about ranges, and range is a pretty good way to think about what your opponent's doing with their rack, and you always got to think about if your opponent is close to a bingo or not. So good on Jackson for being very keen to that. Jackson's better at it than a lot of people are. He has a very intuitive sense of how to read another person's rack. Way back to Rafi's rack, something tells me he's kind of hesitant to play spoilage on the double word that was just open because it opens up the triple word. It is a 9-point difference. Offer a lot of points in return, and Jackson just played not that many tiles, not that many high scoring tiles, I should say. And in response, he probably is keeping pretty well, so he might be worried about opening that big of a hotspot, but he also might be considering that he's probably going to get one of the triples that he opened. He might get the one on the right if Jackson plays to the S at H1. Oh, Rafi has not been going. He laid out spoilage. In turn of events here, we don't often see high-rated players missing words. I can't imagine that was, but does not seem to. Yes, in return, Jackson now has a very, very good play of buys or biz. And he can put his X there too to make ticks. I like biz slightly better. It is a 7-point difference, but the E kind of helps just in case you with your X. Okay, so we do see buys come down. A healthy score, putting him already about double Rafi's score. Yeah, so it looks like Rafi's gonna probably play Wad. I'd imagine that'll come down pretty fast. Getting word also now that my Doug Brockmeyer might be joining us for the last round of the day. He had some time zone confusion. He's in California, and this is 3 hours ahead of him. So actually, maybe joining us this round. We'll any developments on that end, but for now, do our best to focus on the game. Rafi played Wad as expected, and Jackson has a very constant heavy rack. 2 hours, my bad. Thank you, Alec. New Orleans is actually in the same time zone as me. I live in Kansas. Go Chiefs. I am instead of watching the Chiefs game. Crabcat suggests heft and okay. Seems probably about as good as you're going to get here. The X doesn't have a great spot. Rafi is vowel heavy again. But he has the Y for hefty. You might see AYE to fork the board. Chance of bingoing. A is also something he could play, but I think Rafi's probably going to want to bingo here. And I think he might also want his S to have a little bit more value, so the Heft's hook, he doesn't really, if he plays it has a bingo, so slightly off. Looks like Rafi has laid down AYE. I think I'm the stream since I can see it live, but has come down. Seems like a pretty good play. Not a lot of, aside from spoilage, I think every play here has been we would expect to see from both are very seasoned players. Alex suggests wax for this turn. Looks like Rafi has finally drawn a bingo perusal with AYE. So we see wax come down pretty quickly, and I imagine up a bingo here. I'm sure he sees at least one here. Okay, he sees perusal. Now, he may surprise us, and he may not play it. Rafi is sure of this one. This seems like a ability word. The perusal coming down. By Rafi getting does not have a bingo, but has been suggested, which is 34. It does create a lot of volatility, which I'm not sure wants. He tends to be a little bit more controlled. Observations from his annotated games. Highly recommend those, by the way, as an option. And as I say that, Crapcat suggests that, Farle, for 1, no, which means that if Rafi hits that one, Jackson might not get a lot of counterplay, which he might want. Caller probably is options just because to probably keep up the scoring, but at the same time, options score well and keep well and don't create large opportunities for Rafi to get counterplay. Caller is a interesting word. I'm not entirely sure I would have been sure of that myself. Cat Tize is not a word. Oh. Probably referring to extensions. Big ing. I see what you're saying now. That is interesting. I hadn't noticed that. Like, no, you can't do mobilizing. Tiz is there. Ing. Not sure if he sees that or not. I certainly didn't. Is fair going. is lined up LOR. I'm not sure where they're gonna be played. Farl, duh. Yes, and Faller. I have a tendency when I'm playing to put a little space play through and the letters on my rack. I often forget that you don't have to do that. Everybody's plays. So Jackson plays Faller. Good play by him. Small positional advantage of setting up his R, ARF. Stay open for very long. That will get blocked. Likely to either play there, and if not, he'll play on the right. See Jackson's last out. Okay, he has an R. Both blanks are unseen, so I'm sure both players are aware of that. Rafi might be going for linkier to try to get some turnover, but his rack is pretty good, although ING bingos don't play on the board very easily. So he might looking to play a little shorter. And on a bingo here, though, so intuition tells me that lingier is perfectly fine, or ignore to keep one consonant and one vowel. Noah points out, hasn't been developed yet. You are on Facebook, but there was a game between Ben Schoenbrunn. Used the top half of the board once, so very compact. It makes it a lot harder, but way has also been suggested. The possibility of drawing an ING bingo on row 7. But if he draws 2 vowels, like lineage, it's going to be pretty hard to know that you need. So I'm not entirely sure what his bingo percentage is there. Let me see if I can numbers here for you. I have my Quackle open, as I said. Rafi is playing Giro. Perfectly fine. Asks, why is Faller better than... So I think in essence, he was to use one of the triple words, then would be getting the other one. So if he was to Carl and then Rafi would play on the bottom triple word, Jackson might not have as many scoring opportunities because this all controlled and the scoring spots are very hard to come across. See Jackson play Comer. Seems like a pretty obvious play. That I did a short simulation of Giro, Lingier, and the suggestion of Poi. Bingos about 60% of the time, but Giro still simmed the highest, so I think that's a perfectly reasonable option by Rafi. That QI comes down. as Noah has pointed out, Arietta not play. Rafi has, which does not take an S, it's an adjective. For an open eye, he would have sentinel, a word I miss a lot when I'm studying myself. Yeah, I think what Jackson wants to do here is at least unduplicate his A and T. Get rid of another vowel if he can. I don't know if noise is getting picked up by the Twitch chat. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing a whole lot of Stream Master Christian is working very hard to everything run smoothly for at least the next round. So we see Pat from Jackson. I think that's perfectly fine. See what he draws. There's an R. Okay. We have bingos. I'm not sure that they're playable, but those. Although something tells me he is opening the board. I think the scores that really isn't the need to rush. Basically even. There is the play that Quackle suggests of Netizen through TIZ. Saying Rafi would probably not play that.
Hello? Does anyone hear me?
I think we have a guest. I think this might be welcome.
It is. Who am I speaking with?
Hear you. I am.
Hi, hey, Avery.
How you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I'm trying to view. My screen is very tiny.
Yeah. What I do is I open the Twitch stream itself in another view that, and it looks a little bigger.
Okay, let's try to do that.
Everybody, this is so everybody, this is Doug Brockmeyer, an expert player from California. He made it nonetheless. We're glad to see him.
Thank you. Great to be here. My ISC name is Juggle Forever, which is named because my friend Kevin Rickhoff used to go by the handle Juggle, and he had a medical emergency and he ended up not making it past that. And so I used to play him all the time, and it's kind of an homage to him. So
you joined at a good time. We have a very, very close game right now, Rafi versus Jackson, and Rafi just of Neaton. He's not really doing a whole lot to open the board. I think they're both kind of a cat and mouse approach, just wanting to open the board, hoping that the other player does first. So, which is he does have two S's. And again is close to a bingo. Like he has one, not playable though. So I'm guessing something like maybe bar top right. Pointed out in the chat, Zurich. I think they're also in tune with the fact that there are both blanks still in the bag, so they are probably going to be.
What? Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, okay. Eric Rat.
I think Jackson's one of the people that likes spelling out fun things on his round. I know Dave Wiegand does that a lot.
Yes.
Josh Sokol was doing that earlier as well.
Wow, interesting fish here from Jackson.
Might
Strong
also
lead.
be very aware that there are 4 N's and 2 blanks unseen, which would give him G. He did not get that, but going for that.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of scoring plays on this board anywhere.
Very controlled. I mean, QI just kind of left side of the board, so I think we're going to be having a very closed board. Rafi's rack is good to that, actually.
He's got both of those S's.
The S's help a lot, like GIP or M13 Mu next to Giro. He also has a Welcomer. That's probably not what he's going to play, though. He plays Wogs. I like that a lot. Really doesn't make it easy for him to bingo. For Jackson to bingo, that is. Thinking that the other person is keeping.
Tight game here.
I know. And still no blanks. There's going to be a lot of decide this. So, very nice play. Between the Q and the C, he can play Quartic. Pretty play.
Beautiful.
There's floaters for Rafi to potentially work with.
Or himself.
Well, he is drawing 5 tiles. Great. They're not looking to go for the blanks, which I'm sure he is thinking about with this play. I like this play a lot. I found that. There's a reason
it is gorgeous.
There's a reason he's very close to secret rating of 2100. It's like he's got some to see, I bet. Bunch of high scoring consonants. Has but the bingo yet. If the A were a little over, he'd have Leeds men and Dales men. But oh wow, he actually has a 37-point play available on this board. Yet, see if the chat can find it. Might play, but it's certainly be looking at.
I see that. It might be worth breaking up his rack a little bit to maintain a pace.
I want that because Monk scores 37, which would give him board, which aren't easy to come by. Over 3 tiles for the blanks. The problem with it is that if he wants to be more aggressive and go for a bingo like right now, then out of reach of Jackson if Jackson does not get the bingo. One bingo is probably gonna make a big difference on this board.
Right. He kept a worse leave. LNS versus DEEL. But
And he does have, or he does not have an O, I should say. Oh, but we see the first blank.
There it is.
Let's see. Yes, and Jackson's laid out vetch through ET. Good way to dump some tiles. He could also go to the left and play Chevette.
Burn the E and open the
He
board.
might not. Actually, what I just noticed is he has the last E.
It's true. Not a whole lot of vowels left.
Wow, this is a very interesting game.
Neck and neck.
K is gone, so we don't have to worry about the hook for vetch, unless a blank is used for that.
True.
Rafi's rack is not great for the blank, but I'm sure he's not complaining. Very happy to see that blank. Jackson doesn't have it.
Indeed.
Here is Nidal through DA.
Yeah.
That the J is unseen, so that he could very easily have had it after Vetch. Gives back a lot of 40-point plays and like responds to that with a play down to the triple word. Throws a lot of variance into it that he might not want. And I think Rafi is a kind of player who's going to make the board a lot more controlled than that.
I agree with you. And he could spend the S here and play L's and for not a lot of points. I don't see a great way to Comers and L's down row 12.
The thing is 3 N's and 3 I's unseen, so that leave just doesn't do a whole lot. Hard play, and it's a 1-point game in case you guys haven't noticed. I'm sure they're very tense right now, and standings pulled up right now, and it looks like they're both the only players at 11-3, so game as would be expected. Josh Sokol is the only one ahead of them at 12-2. Looks like Cynthia Seals is having an amazing tournament at 11-4.
Good for her.
79 rating points.
Wow, that's very impressive.
Absolutely.
It's going to be hard for Rafi to do anything with his V. I wonder if he's considering exchanging here, maybe keeping INS or something along those lines.
Something tells me he actually might. If he's going to exchange, he might want to exchange a little more just because there's 3 I's and 3 N's.
Indeed. Maybe keep IS
wouldn't
blank?
Be surprised if IS blank or just S blank. Let's see. 3, 6, 9 vowels and the rest consonants in a blank. So little. So I think.
Right. The I isn't terribly useful here. He needs either a bingo on row 5 or coming down column
exactly
5.
If he can blank the other blank, he's going to be in the driver's seat, especially since, well, as he doesn't know it, but Jackson really doesn't have a whole lot of good options for the J there.
No.
Yeah, but if he does keep IS, if he draws another I, it just kind of ruins the point of it. So I think personally, I'd probably throw 5 back in and keep S. It's not an easy play, especially a little over 6 minutes left. I mean,
yeah, he's going to want to save some time for the end game here.
the Bree endgame. I mean,
And
like
Bree.
counterintuitive since you'd think there's like fewer plays available. There might be. I think there's just more to think about, especially since you got to worry about what Jackson's going to do to try to claw his way back in, because neither of them have an
Wow.
advantage on points.
This is an interesting play. I guess the blank is an M. Is that right?
I haven't.
Could also be an H.
I didn't see anything. Oh, I'm just now seeing this.
Looks like an M.
We don't know if it's an M or an H. Honestly, couldn't see anything on the blank designation, but it's a very interesting play. 31 points. I mean, that leave is
Atrocious. And it gets worse for Rafi.
said something. I mean, we can't hear him. I think he might have said M.
Jackson was a nice fit for the J there. Putting Rafi in a real spot here, even though Rafi's
really see that.
Beautiful find.
It's a nice find. I mean, it just completely kills the top part of the board. But now we have this, and it's kind of, in a way, a race to one of the O's for Oda. And we see Jackson's picked. I would not be surprised in the slightest if we saw Rafi exchange here.
I hope so. I don't see any plays for him.
I think that might be Christian in the Twitch chat saying the blank is an H.
Okay, good. Very good. Well,
okay, we have exchange 6. And there are 10 in the bag, so it's a perfectly fine play. I had a tournament last month where my opponent tried to exchange with 4 in the bag, and they had to pass their turn. Good thing we don't have that here, but let's see. I think we might be seeing Rafi pull at last one of the S's. There's the blank. Okay.
Wow.
But he certainly now. And Jackson's probably going to be concerned since he just threw back 6. About, okay, so there's 6 not great or really bad tiles in the bag. He probably has the blank now.
Right.
What does Jackson do here? Weird things like D-O Dand. There's the DA. He's playing BO just to keep the board. I think he's going to expect that Rafi's going to bingo if he's not very careful about what he does.
Agreed.
There, but all right. Still win for Rafi despite him having a rack. And Jackson drew pretty well. I mean,
yeah,
he voided the V, the U. He didn't get 2 I's. That R's. If he can make it so that Rafi doesn't bingo, it might just be a one. Jackson's rack really isn't that bad for this, especially since he has plays on the through that T and Pat.
This is actually quite tough for Rafi. He can't open the board very well without giving something back.
I don't know if he wants to open the board. I mean,
right.
He's also probably thinking that Jackson's rack probably terribly after BO, but he might have drawn something bad. Oh, so he's gonna open it.
Oh. This looks good for Jackson.
Oh, that's probably what Jackson wanted to see, but worry if he. Let's see, how many are in the. Yeah, okay, so might not be coming because if Jackson plays drained and then Rafi bingos, Rafi wins. Not wanna hastily.
He might have to pass his bingo here.
No.
Can he pass it on his bingo?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, if drained comes down, Rafi can go through the R and play Nitro Cell.
Very nice.
Alec used his of it in Doxels through the D.
Ooh, wow.
Blink okay, there is no X in the bag. The X was already played with Wax at the top, but Rafi would be making the blink an X if he were to see that Z bingo. I'm sure that's one of the blank bingos that only somebody like Will could find. It's not
Rafi
so
is
simple here.
no.
Thing is, if Jackson plays drained, and even if Rafi played something simpler like Nitro Cell, have the V that he'd have to eat, and Rafi would end up winning by 2 points.
As it is, it's 2 points Jackson's lead as it is now.
So we're gonna have to see, because I think Jackson's probably accepted that Rafi is very, very likely to have the blank here.
True.
He's probably not. I think Jackson's going to be a little more careful, and he's not going to just open. What does he do? I mean, you can't play the bingo here, but you really can't, like, I don't know, riddle through the L. That you can't do that because Rafi's probably going to bingo through it.
Right.
It's not necessarily easy for him to either side of for Rafi to bingo on either side of Lobo, but you gotta block it in some way or another. But how?
He could consider playing on the other side of the L on column F, sorry. He could play D, E, and I. That would be a block.
Yeah.
It's not many points. It's 9.
That asks why drained. Jackson's just probably going to be worried because since Rafi probably has the blank and he just exchanged a lot of tiles, he probably has the blank and probably some good stuff to go with it, like the S or. I mean, his rack probably isn't terribly imbalanced, especially since one, he exchanged 6 and he only played 2 tiles on his last turn, so it really isn't that bad. Oh, but we're seeing it. He's going for it and playing drained.
Being aggressive.
Oh, and look at the look on Rafi's face. He's took a big sigh of relief. Just like, I mean, he's going to have to do a lot of math here. He's probably going to have to, like, all the scores in the game are right because a recount has to make sure that if he does bingo, then he'll win. I would definitely not find in Doxels. But yeah, Rafi probably looked very. Yeah, he does have less than 3 minutes left, so I think Rafi's gonna go over. I think he's pretty astute to that. But he does have to be very efficient. And I think Jackson's probably accepted that Rafi probably is going to bingo out, and he will take this game. That being said, though, I mean, aside from Togue, I really don't think. I don't think Rafi did either. We just saw some sides.
I'm not sure Rafi sees his bingo.
I don't know if he does either, but none of them are that easy.
In
Yes,
Doxels
Nitrosil
should
does
be
win.
one of the tougher plays that he'll ever have to find.
I couldn't agree more. And even Nitrosil just isn't the most obvious because the S isn't in where you expect it to be, doesn't end in LY, things like that.
Completely agree.
Would win by 2. I think Jackson's just kind of accepted, though, that at this point it's all in Rafi's hands if he's going to take this game. We did see him miss spoilage earlier, though, so.
By this time in the
See what
tournament, he might be feeling a bit of fatigue.
Kidding, it's the 7th game of the day, and they still got one more to play.
It's true.
Next up, he'll be playing Wes Eddings, and Jackson will be playing.
Oh boy, what a poker face by Rafi! Or did he just find it in that moment?
Oh, he got it! Oh, he got it! Oh my god! Oh, that's a.
This is incredible.
Play. 30 seconds on his clock.
And Jackson with the courtesy challenge. Last play of the game.
Hasn't shown up that way on the Twitch stream yet, but yeah. Head in the game. Great find by Rafi. Ooh,
well, he certainly earned that game.
Had a surge of adrenaline there. I don't know if I agreed with all his plays and Deem, but obviously, but great plays aside from that. And I mean, in Doxels is definitely not an easy find. So, I mean, well played to both players. I mean, it's not easy playing at this level, let alone on a stream, but they both played. It was a great game to commentate.
Absolutely.
I think Rafi's finally exhaling, letting. Oh, he was very going into come down. The players are good. They're going to come off of this. I mean, they both have smiles on their face. Hard fought game, and Rafi came out on top.
They're both gentlemen, and they know how to win and how to lose.
Exactly. If I'm on here, but yeah, we see some. I think that's Chris Schneider, and couldn't see who the other one was. Whoever's nose we were seeing on the screen, but
I think that's Joshua So-Called's nose I might be looking at, if I recognize that nose.
Oh, yes, it is. I was trying to look for a beard, but did not see it.